What is going on, YouTube? Carter here. Got another video for you. This is the conclusion of my acid stone wash modification I did to my Rajah 3 right here. I told you at the end of that video I was going to do a dedicated video on the outcome. I'm glad I did because I have a few things to talk about with this knife, how it turned out, what I learned, things like that. First off, I made a lot of mistakes when I messed with this knife. I've done modifications like this before, just light stuff, acid stone washing, painting, polishing, things like that. I don't have the tools to do anything too crazy, like scales or anything like that, although that would be fun. So I have done this on a number of knives. In fact, I've done the same exact treatment blade-wise on an old Recon 1 that I had, I believe it was. And it turned out great. So this time I'm very disappointed with the problems that I had. First and foremost, let's just take a look at the knife itself, give you an idea of how it ended up. I actually like the way the stonewash turned out, the acid stonewashing, kind of at first glance anyways, until maybe you noticed, but it's got some problems. It's got some big problems. I also painted the scales. And I'm kind of not so sure if I like the way that turned out. I would like to get your opinion on that, but we'll talk about that a little bit in a moment. So the big elephant in the room on this blade is right on this edge right here. You can see that it is red. It has a red tinge to it. That is because it rusted. It got red rust, the bad rust on it. And I am not 100% sure why, but I have some ideas. I think I rushed the process too much. I got lazy. I got, I thought I knew what I was doing, and I kind of took liberties and didn't do the process all the way I should have. Mainly in terms of cutting off the acid process. So I didn't wash it in a base in like Windex or ammonia or anything like that. And I kind of just ran it under some water. I sprayed some oil on it. I thought that would be good. Apparently it's not. I really should have done a better job getting that acid off the blade and probably used some heavier duty oil, some wax, or maybe just more consistent oil treatments on that blade because it took a while to rust. I sharpened it up, I put it back together over a few days, and it wasn't until recently that I was looking at it that I realized that I actually had rust on there. You can see it's worse on this side. Now I can scrape that off, I can scrub that off and maybe try it again. I don't know if I will. We'll see how it goes. But that's a bummer. That shouldn't have happened. I shouldn't have been so lazy, shouldn't have been so rushed. I could have easily avoided this mistake. So guys, take your time with these projects. Do those extra steps, the extra cleaning, the extra, preparation, as well as the post work. That's where I really messed up. My prep wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. But when I was done, I kind of just rushed it and threw it back together before I really should have. So that's a mistake. Next up is the scales. Now I was debating between this color of, it's just spray paint, this color of spray paint or an OD green. I wish I would have went with the OD green. I think it would have looked a lot better. On the can and in my mind, I was picturing more of a coyote brown type color. Once I got it on the scales, I realized I'm dealing with more of a flesh colored. And it looked really weird. It looked strange. It looked like a play school knife or something like that after I painted it. So I wish I had picked a different color or just left it black. It actually looked pretty dang good with the black scales and the acid stonewash blade. So in an effort to try and fix the mistake of the flesh colored spray paint, I did this forced wear kind of look on it. Part of the reason I did that is because, once again, I rushed to get this knife put back together. I didn't take the time to let the scales 100% cure. And when I put it back together the first time, I had made a few mistakes. I put the liners on backwards, not thinking it made a difference, but it did. It actually had some play in it when I put it back together. I didn't know why. Took it apart, switched those scales so that the kind of shinier side is the show side, and then the rougher side is hidden in the back of the scales, if that makes sense. Put it back together, and it was rock solid at that point. But in the times it took me to get it right, taking it apart, putting it back together, I had dinged up the paint in a few different spots. So rather than repaint it, I thought, hey, maybe I'll go with that kind of military look where the guys take their rifles, their AR-15s, well, M16 carbines, and they paint them up and they get dinged up and the paint flecks off and it's kind of got that cool rugged look to it. So I thought maybe I would go with that kind of a look, and I don't know, I think it looks better. It looks better than the plain spray paint, but it is not amazing, I don't think. But I would like your opinion. What do you think? How do you think it turned out? Obviously, the red rust is terrible. Not good to have that on there. But what do you think about the scales? At this point, I've looked at them so long and I've seen them in all the different stages that I can't quite tell if I like them, if I kind of like them, or if I downright hate them. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, it was fun. It was a cool little project. I learned a few things, and really nothing's destroyed here. I can redo that blade. I can redo those scales. I can leave it as is. I can do whatever I want. I started with a user that I had already kind of modified and had some fun with it on a Sunday and shared it with you guys. I easily could have buried that video once I found out that it was screwed up, but I decided it might be beneficial to see what happens when things don't go 100% correctly. So let me know what you guys think. Give me a like, subscribe, leave a comment. I'm out of here.